After months of speculation and rumors, Russell Westbrook has finally been traded. The deal is the Lakers are getting D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. The Timberwolves are getting Mike Conley and some second-round picks, and Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 first-round pick from LA are going to Utah. That pick is protected in the top 4 of the 2027 draft. So, a lot of places to go here. Of course, we have to begin, though, with LA. The Russell Westbrook thing was a disaster. It just never really worked, and they finally decided to move on. It's a structure of a trade that we've seen for months now, and I actually like this for LA. That might be surprising for some of you that have watched my channel for a little while now, because I'm not a D'Angelo Russell guy. I wasn't a D'Angelo Russell guy when he left Brooklyn and got the max contracts. He's generally, in my opinion, been overrated from the moment that he was named as an all-star injury replacement in his final season in Brooklyn as like the 5th injury replacement that season. Gets the max contract, has now gone from Brooklyn to Golden State to Minnesota and now to LA, full circle for him. Generally, I'm not a big D'Angelo Russell guy. However, this deal specifically, I think, is a pretty significant upgrade for LA for a couple of different reasons. One, even though I don't like Russell, he is generally speaking a better fit alongside stars than someone like Russell Westbrook at this point in their respective careers, because he is a better floor spacer and can still create in similar ways as Westbrook, but provides them more floor spacing around guys like LeBron and around guys like Anthony Davis. And so you are immediately replacing the production that Westbrook leaves behind, because he has been pretty productive for them since he moved to the bench, and specifically alongside Anthony Davis. When Davis was playing really well, Russell Westbrook was right there alongside him. They did need to replace that. They do that by bringing in D'Angelo Russell. But more importantly to me, they have a real NBA starting lineup suddenly with someone in Malik Beasley that is a really good floor spacer, provides them a legitimate wing that they can play alongside some of their other stars. And whether Vanderbilt starts or not, I think he brings them something that is so critical to this roster, and that is just energy, effort, defense. They're the worst defensive team in the league at certain points when you're watching these games, and Vanderbilt can help that, whether that's alongside Anthony Davis or coming off the bench. If you want to put him immediately into the starting lineup, then you suddenly have like a real NBA lineup with Russell, Beasley, LeBron, Vanderbilt if you want to put him out there, and then Anthony Davis. They have increased the upside and the versatility and flexibility of this roster tenfold just in this one move. So even though I'm not a D'Lo guy, bringing in those other two guys that are legitimate rotation players, one of which in Beasley is a legit big-time starting caliber player, I think really helps this roster specifically in areas that they needed. One being defense and energy from Vanderbilt, and two being spacing from Russell and Malik Beasley. Now for Minnesota, this is a little bit of a weird one, right? Because D'Angelo Russell, generally speaking, people think is a good player, and his name brings a lot of value, right? But this to me signals a couple of different things. One, if they're keeping Mike Conley and they're not buying him out, it signals to me that they want a little bit more veteran leadership around the group. It's a young team. It's a team that at times has struggled this season with the addition of Rudy Gobert. Bringing Mike Conley brings certainly a level of professionalism to the group. Two, it signals to me that they were just kind of over the D'Angelo Russell experience, whether it be the contract, whether it be not really paying attention on defense, whether it be not being as efficient offensively as you'd like him to be at times. And then also number 3, this signals to me that they want to empower Anthony Edwards to be the main 100% primary offensive perimeter creator guy. They don't want anybody else in his way. Whether you want to call him a point guard or not is irrelevant. They want Anthony Edwards to be the guy every time down the floor in ball screens, creating for everyone else. And they didn't want D'Angelo Russell in the way anymore. And they'll look at other options long term in terms of a starting backcourt player alongside Anthony Edwards, but they are empowering him to be their main guy. And so on paper, it might not seem like they're getting a ton out of this deal, but you could see some addition just by subtraction here of getting rid of D'Angelo Russell. Even if Mike Conley isn't a huge part of their team, I think it's really going to help Anthony Edwards to have D'Lo out of there. And then for Utah, this to me is a really interesting deal for them. They're going to buy out Westbrook. We'll talk about possible destinations for him as a buyout player later on. But they're really banking on the value of this 2027 Lakers first-round pick. It's top 4 protected, as I mentioned. But I really felt like Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt collectively were worth like 1.5 first-round picks. And so in theory, you're actually kind of selling a little bit low on those guys. But I think they're basically gambling on the fact that this pick is going to be incredibly valuable, that in 2027, you don't know what's happening with LeBron. You don't know what's happening with Anthony Davis. And it might just be 1 first-round pick, which in exchange for Beasley and Vanderbilt might be a little bit low. But 1, you just got those guys. It's basically an extra first-round pick on the Rudy Gobert trade. And 2, that pick could be way, way more valuable than any other first-round pick you could have possibly gotten for those guys, depending on what happens for the Lakers over the next couple of seasons. And so for them, I certainly understand it. Value-wise, for me, I feel like the Lakers did pretty well here. That pick doesn't mean anything to them. They keep that other pick as well, which is critical. If they want to make another move here, they do have that 2029 first round pick if they'd like to use it. They have a couple of other contract guys like Patrick Beverley. If they really want to, they could bring in Bogdanovich from Detroit, a couple of other guys around the league. But even if they don't, I feel like LA has shored up their roster in a way that allows them to justifiably hold on to that pick, put together a legitimate group around LeBron, and most importantly, that was happening throughout this week, put to rest the Russell Westbrook just saga here. It's been, I almost felt bad for the guy today when they're leaking all these rumors about a possible Russell Westbrook trade. He's been in so many trade rumors over the last handful of months, and now it's going to be time for him to move on from LA, go to Utah, ultimately be bought out. And that's the last part of this to me is where is Russell Westbrook going to go? Where's the team out there that needs what he provides? At this point, to this point in the season in LA, coming off the bench, a perimeter creator, someone that still brings a lot of energy and effort despite not really paying attention on defense like half the time. Where's the team out there that Russ is going to want to go play for as like a semi-contender at least? Like he's not just going to go play in Charlotte, I don't think. And the team that needs creation like that. Depending on what happens with the trade deadline, like Brooklyn could be a possibility. Like maybe they need a little bit more offensive creation. Obviously, Russ reuniting with Kevin Durant would be weird, but maybe that's just the point that we're at. Outside of that, it's really difficult to see. Like the Clippers certainly could be an option. Get a little bit of revenge on the Lakers. They need an upgrade at point guard. I think that would be an interesting situation. Outside of that, I struggle to find the fit here for Russell Westbrook at the contender or semi-contender level. Maybe it's Milwaukee, but his lack of floor spacing, just as it was for the Lakers, is going to be a problem on these other contenders. He's going to be bought out, and now we're going to just kind of wait and see where he ends up. So for this deal, I like it the most for LA. I talked about them a ton in the intro. Rounding out their lineup in this way, only giving up one of the picks, getting out from under the Westbrook situation. And I think really the most important player to me in this deal for LA is Malik Beasley. It's not even D'Angelo Russell. His floor spacing, his ability to create even a little bit, attacking closeouts, Vanderbilt's going to help them a ton. And then again, maybe this is the reemergence of D'Lo's career as like an all-star caliber guy. I doubt it, but he's going to be needed in LA to score. He's going to be needed to space the floor. And they didn't really need that out of him in Minnesota, so it's going to be interesting to see him kind of transition into his role there in LA. I would give them like an A for this trade just because it's the one first-round pick. They get 3 legitimate guys in exchange for Russell Westbrook who they really were struggling how to figure out how to fit in this roster and clearly was unhappy. I'm going to give them an A for this deal. For Utah, I'm going to give them a B+ just because I feel like maybe you could have gotten a little bit more than this out of Malik Beasley and out of Jared Vanderbilt. And then also, obviously, Mike Conley as well. But really, the guy here that's the most valuable to me is Beasley. Beyond that, you're getting out of some money. You're getting another first-round pick. It's absolutely the right decision for them to move on from some of these guys and try and tank and try and get a top pick in this upcoming draft. Continue to add assets. I can't dislike the move for them. Maybe they could get a little bit more value, but again, they're gambling on the Lakers being really bad. And then for Minnesota, I'm going to give it like a C just because it feels like they're just continually falling down here on the Rudy Gobert trade. Like everything that's happened since the Rudy Gobert trade obviously has not worked out for them. And if just straight up, if you're swapping D'Angelo Russell for Mike Conley, I can understand the reasons why you would do that. Contract, vibes, veteran presence, I can understand all that. But at the same time, it is a downgrade in talent. It's an unfortunate situation given what they gave up to get D'Lo a few seasons ago, how those assets have now looked in Golden State, specifically Andrew Wiggins, and then now what they're ending up getting in exchange for D'Lo just a couple of seasons later. Obviously, nothing has gone well for Minnesota so far this season. They're starting to turn around a little bit. Their record isn't as bad as maybe you would think that it would be, but Cat's been hurt for forever. Now they're trading away D'Lo. I do think that it helps Anthony Edwards a lot, and so from that standpoint, I get it and I like it. But strictly from a value standpoint, to me, this can't really be better than like a C, maybe a C+. So by far, to me, the biggest winners in this deal are the Lakers and then Russell Westbrook, because he gets to choose his own situation. I'm sure some contender out there is going to convince themselves that they need what he provides. Again, I would keep an eye on the Clippers and then maybe Brooklyn if him and KD want to play together again. I'm not sure, but at least he gets to go somewhere where he's not in trade rumors every other day. It was clear during LeBron's record-breaking performance, it was clear that he didn't want to be there, and LeBron literally went on TV and talked about how he was upset they didn't get Kyrie. The only way you get Kyrie is if you trade away Russell Westbrook. He's going to be in a new situation. He's going to get bought out, and maybe he'll find some basketball happiness somewhere. I do think there's still a use for him around the league, and that to me is something I'm going to be paying a ton of attention to over the next week to 2 weeks, is which team decides it's worth taking the risk on Russell Westbrook after this trade. I'm really excited to see, what happens over the next day to, I guess not even day, less than 24 hours from now, the NBA trade deadline will be here. And this is an interesting start. This is one I'll continue to cover over the next couple of days as we do some trade deadline recap content here on the channel and seeing exactly how everything else shakes out. Maybe there's still some more teams to be added to this deal, but right now, that's kind of how I see it for each of these teams.